So, for all you lovely orcs people out there, we are talking about the TeefBreaka. Now, this tank, oh, we got a lot to talk about. Really a lot to talk about. Um, and before I begin, I wanted to say, in case you're curious at the end of this video, yes, this is one of the tanks that will go down in price over time. Like right now, it's at 30%, but there's one more with 50%. I would recommend waiting, but after seeing this video, I would not shame you if you got it soon too. But here you are want to talk about it. What is good about this tank, Fury? Like, I've seen its stats and stuff, but is it even that good as people say? And quite frankly, yes, for light tank players. This is what's going to confuse people because this is an STB. I mean, you can clearly see it. It's representing the STB mechanics of this, and it's funny to see an STB being one of the light tanks in this game, but not just the light tank. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's get started with this. First and foremost, let's talk about its armaments. Now, I already said it's already based off a light tank, but it does have some unique armor to protect yourself. Like, for example, what I've noticed so far without going through all of it, even the chainsaw on the back is considered armament. So if you shoot the chainsaw part on the back, it's going to, like, not do any damage, obviously, but it's considered armament. So be careful. Do not let wargaming, like, misguide you. But it is a spatial armor for that one little piece in the back, which is weird. Also, it's got some sort of spatial armaments, but not a lot of spatial armaments. I mean, we're talking about a flat tank. Like, I couldn't tell you to protect yourself with this tank. All I could tell you is just don't get hit. There is some angles on the head turret, and then there's some angles on the side of the tank. The little thrusters on the jet fuel, I would think they're flamethrower jet fuels, but the fuel things in the back is spatial armor. The shield is spatial armaments. The cleaver is a spatial armament, so that's cool. But this is really not a tank to take a hit on. It when you get hit by something with this tank, it's going to be full-fledged damage. So my advice, if you want the best use of your armaments, don't get hit at all. And you're probably thinking, wow, that's pretty bad, but what about the teeth in the front that's spatial armaments? Yeah, but that's 1 of a million to hit, and according to what Wargaming said, it's rammer. Now, I have tested it out, and I'll tell you my personal opinion on it, but let's just say it's not half wrong, but it's also not half true either. So, yeah, that's basically for the armaments. It's just basically do not get hit whatsoever. And you know what's funny about this? The orks are known to be brute force. Now, I get it. In War-K, they don't have, like, they have different types of class of orks. There's the machine gun orks, there's the funny orks and all that. I get it, there's different classes. But I never thought stealth, stabby, and then retreaty orks. Orks are never like that. I mean, I guess as good as mine. I don't know. It just feels weird that World of Warships and World of Tanks have both versions of orks, and one's a destroyer in World of Warships that's weak, and then this game they got a light tank that's weak. So, now you're probably thinking to yourself too. It's like, okay, Fury, I see it on the right corner. I already answered this question, but is it any useful at all? Well, yeah, but by looks of things, if they don't tell you exactly without looking at extreme detail, this thing only does 80 damage per hit, which I would say 72.
Wait a minute, hold the frig up. You they keep screaming, "Waaagh!" And you're telling me you only do 80 damage? You can't hardly kill anything. What type of orc are you? What are you, a man or an orc? God damn it!
Yeah, but hear me out. This thing has a 20 shooter. Now, probably you're going to still say that's not a lot of damage, Fury. But that's not the point of this tank. This tank is a heavily nuisance of a tank. Picture like the Armadillo playstyle for that matter. In fact, I have some few clips that will prove to you that how terrifying this 20 clip could be. And these poor souls that are in multiplayer, you're going to see how frustrating this would be for the nuisance.
Oh, so it can do some shit. Sorry, Orc. We cool, right? We cool?
Yeah, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, this gun is terrifying. It is beyond terrifying when it comes to that. Now, granted, could it kill stuff? Not really easily. I mean, you do like 80 damage per every shot, and it's like it's very hard to kill anything with a full clip. You have to do multiple stab attacks. And that's why it's weird for me to hear that from an orc, because orcs usually, I expect the orc to have like a Yang Panzer E100 or a frickin' E100 for that matter, shooting at people, not some light tank. But we'll get to that in a minute, how it was a good choice by Wargaming, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So obviously, fire rate 39.75. Now, right there would have told you it's an autoloader, but still, accuracy 0.32. I have no problem with this gun, but there's two types of modes, and I'll get to that in a minute once we talk about the other part. But yeah, there's two types of mode, and one of the mode is to make the accuracy more better at shooting, which is very, very useful to targeting things, which means you don't really need a lot of equipment to fix it, and that's good because the other, I'll show you my playstyle in just a minute. But the other one too, penetration at 100 meters is 216, 500 meters, 206. So you can get the basic idea for the standard rounds. This tank is like a close quarters, multiple shooting thing because obviously, let's face it, the longer you shoot range with it with the standard rounds, the less pen you do, and it is a tier 9, mind you. Tier 9. Now, 206, that's not bad. But, however, if there's an angle heavy tank, you ain't going to be able to shoot it sniping. You got to be able to get up close and personal, which we'll talk about that fun in a minute. Um, Type of ammunition. You got APDS, which is the fast shooting round, and then you got premium rounds, which is FPDS. We'll get to that in a minute, and heat. And total ammunition clip is 390, which is it makes sense to have that many rounds because there's one game I almost ran out of ammo, or my friend who test played this because he needed to see it and I let him borrow my account. He ran out of ammo when he was playing this tank, and it was kind of funny. He's like, Fury, I'm out of ammo, and I pack a lot of the standard rounds. I don't pack a lot of premiums unless I have to, but yeah, that's rightfully so how much ammo that thing goes through. So now let's talk about the transforming mode that I just said. Okay, this is where the tank really shines. So you're going to say, okay, it's got an annoying gun, but the speed I see fair, you had to upgrade it with 2 speed equipment pieces right here, and it's only up to 71. That's not totally great compared to most light tanks. I mean, it's great, but it's not totally great. Oh, ho, ho. There is makes it go faster. See, the ability of this orc tank is to able to go faster. You see those jet fuels on the back? On the tank that I'm showing in the center of the screen, that little square thing that is a elongated thing. Hang on, I'll get a better visual. Yeah, you see that little jet thing right here? I'll point to it real quick. That makes your tank go faster. What do I mean by that? This thing has, I can't say siege mode, but it's kind of like I call it tactical statistic mode. Now, with this tactical statistic mode, it's basically you could shoot your gun accuracy but cut your speed to where you see now, or when you activate the speed, it goes faster to nearly almost up to 90 with this tank when I put the things on it. But your gun accuracy sucks. So you can clearly see what playstyle this is already, like I just said. This is a backstabbing tank. This is a tank that goes in at weak prey like a vulture. As a matter of fact, this tank is a vulture, or better yet, all it is a drive-by tank. You go in and you drive by, shoot the person, and then run away before the cops come. That's the best way to describe its playstyle. Go in, shoot a tank, and then get out of there and pray to God there's not a whole ambush party waiting for you. Because this tank shines at facing 1v1s. It's beautiful. But if it's in a multiple pack, however, yeah, it gets killed pretty easily, and that's the downfall. Remember when I said about the armament? Yeah, that's a big problem because you're such a big tank because you're an STB, which is STBs are pretty damn big. You're not dealing with a Vanguard. Oh dear God, can you imagine having the speed adjustment thing like this on it and going like fucking almost 100 and you're that tiny and you got an accurate gun? Yeah, that's not broken. um but still, it's funny because it's like, even though this tank is great, it's like it's great for drive-bys, great for backstabbing one target, and that's basically how you play it. So that's why I have all the equipment piece on it. But however, we do have to talk about this. And yeah, I did say in the last video that I would get the Orc Commander and see if the Volkers are there. And for how much gold it is, let me show you in score how much they're asking for this one commander that you want, which is the only way to get it is this one, which is 3,350 gold, which is a lot, but you get two more. But I wanted the Orc because I like the Orcs in the War K. They're pretty fucking funny. And does it talk? Does he has a unique voice? No. You're telling me, Wargaming, you're telling me the orc does not have a unique voice.
The orcs. I mean, fucking Warcade. The orcs. World of Warships has the freaking voiceover. Why not here? Why do we have to have two commanders that have a unique voice and no orc, which is by far the most funniest one to hear a lot of times, especially in World of Warships, but not here? And you're asking people to pay money for a voice that is not there, a picture that you can't see in game. And I gotta calm down. My doctor told me I have to be careful with my blood pressure. Yeah, I'm taking little pills for that. So anyway, could you... I mean, what this seriously F Wargaming? Even my orc yelling that, it makes sense. This is stupid. Why are we paying this much gold if you can't see them on the battlefield and we don't have unique voices for them? I want to hear them going, "Let's get killing," or "War," or "It's a space marine, I'll get him." Something, anything that will put a smile on my face hearing the Ork universe in this game. Why couldn't we have an Orc one or a Chaos one? Wouldn't it be awesome hearing "Blood Skull for the Blood God" like in this game? No, we don't. We don't get any of it. And I'm going to recommend right now, and I know I'm doing the review on the TeefBreaka, but I'm going to say this right now, do not buy the 2D commanders. They don't even give you the option to change the voices for it, or for a country. You want proof? There, see? It's only got skills and assigned vehicle. There is no custom option, which means the orc in the game is freaking a normal American voice, which is pisses me off so much because you demand so much gold for the commander and you don't give a shit for it. Okay, gotta calm down. Gotta calm down like Hades and freaking Hercules. Cool, I'm fine, I'm cool. So, despite that disappointment, the tank itself is really not a big, huge disappointment. But before I get in the game and talk about my personal thing, let's go talk about the ammunition cost because that is a key role for the tank. Now, the first round I already said how fast it is 1,265, which is fair for APCR. That makes sense. It's a small round that shoots fast but has a horrible time penning angle armor sometimes. So that makes sense. But it's 105 shell, which for 20 rounds is pretty expensive. I mean, it's not too expensive, it's cheap, but if you don't pen those rounds, you can go negative very easily in this tank, which I do sometimes a lot in some games. Like, this tank goes in negatives a lot. Now, the premium shells, I only keep like only 100 or something because that's who I am, and just in case if I have to run against a heavy tank by myself, I want to make sure to pen it.
Now, its pen for 100 meters is 236 up close and personal, but 500 meters, 226. So it's not really great. If you compare this one to this one, yeah, you get 20 more millimeters, but at the same time, you're paying 80 a shot, and it's 20 rounds. Not really worth it. It's my best guess is to play it like a light tank, like I said, doing drive-bys, and you will do 10 times better than freaking spending APCR. Now, the last one, I don't carry any because it's expensive. Because it's 420 a round. It only does 53 millimeters of penetration for 100 meters, and then 50 meters, same thing. It only does the damage of 100. Now, I get it why they made this one expensive because I know people are going to say boom shell. Um, it makes sense because it probably does harm the tank a little bit more better. However, though, only 53 millimeters. I mean, you gotta think, like, that's a lot more expensive, and you lose money fast, too. So my advice is just to stick with the standard round. It's cheaper, you have more fun driving by, shooting people, doing drive-bys, than spending expensive rounds. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to leave it as that. So, after saying all that, let's get into the game. Okay, personal thing about the TeefBreaka. I'm gonna just say it right now. I fucking love this vehicle. I love, love, love this light tank. And I'm not a light tank player. I love it. Just the fact that you have the speed to change anything. And it's not that long to switch it. However, I will have one criticism about the tank, and that is in the beginning of the game, you don't switch to speed mode right off the bat. You have to take a few seconds to press that button to go over to speed mode. And whew, that pisses me off so much because it's just like, really? I have to take 10 minutes of my game to, or 5 minutes, just to switch it over real quick because sometimes I forget it and I'm like, why am I going so slow? And then, like, oh, because I haven't switched it over. And that's a big problem because, again, you want to keep the speed going. You want this tank to go, 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 go. You don't want it to stop. Now, however, though, yes, I did mention the armaments, and when I first played this, I thought, like, okay, it's got some spatial armaments, it would protect and stuff. Now, the one thing I do want to say that's criticism is what Wargaming says ramming things. Yes, the teeth in the front of the tank is good for ramming. However, though, it's not good at ramming everything. You gotta remember, you're a light tank. You can't ram a heavy and expect to be okay. You can't ram some medium tanks and expect to be okay. But I figured out what they mean about that. The ramming capability is only designed to take on light tanks. Think about this for a second. You're really freaking fast. So who's going to catch up with you? Light tanks. They're only ones that are able to keep up with you fast enough unless they bring out like a medium or something that can go really fast or a heavy that's classified as a medium that goes really fast. I mean, you go almost like 90 or 89 or 85 easily, depending on your perks you put on it and depending if you have the same equipment as I do. So when you're out of ammo and a light tank's coming after you, your only best bet is to ram it while you're going full max speed. I mean, it does a lot of damage. You got to think about it. When you hit something with this tank, like a light tank, it's going to hurt it. Like, magnificently hurt it. But if only you time it right because you got to ram it just right. And yes, I've already mentioned it's sad that the orc does not have a voice. It's just the typical American voice. So I'm just gonna say this in my video: just don't get the orc. You have a better yet getting a maybe a space marine or something in it, but it's just such a huge disappointment. Like I said again. Now, however, it's come with its flaws though, like heavily to it. Now people are gonna say, well, can it snipe fury? Like basically, can it just do sniping and all that? Um, I would say yes and no. It can snipe. I mean, I'm not gonna say it doesn't. It really does. Sometimes it could be a laser pointer sometimes. But no, because the problem is you shoot 20 rounds and you do 80 damage. It's good for flanking and keeping their pants down, or let alone not distracting. But if you're like trying to shoot something and you're shooting the side of a tank and you're shooting 20 rounds, chances are that person's going to stop, look at you while you're still unloading, and you got to pick up speed because, again, this tank has a horrible acceleration sometimes when you start off. I mean, if you're trying to speed up really fast, it can, but it's like one of those things like you don't want to be caught with the engine off when the tank thing. But if you keep shooting something, it's going to focus on you, and sometimes that can work if you're speeding so fast. I mean, I've done that many times and tricked so many tier 10s to look away where my buddies can kill them. And that's another thing. This tank is very good at distraction, very good at tracking. So if you got a track op you need to do, this is a tank that will work well for tier 9s if you need to do some track, assisted damage in those contracts they do later on in life. But however, like I like it as a support in your face kind of tank more than a thing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's perfect at it. It's not like the thing is going to drive around and be willy nilly and dodge bullets weaving all the time. You could do that, but since you're just an STB that's massively big, it's got a problem of surviving. And the problem is, any shell that hits you, any, is going to do full fledged damage. There is not once you're going to take a break. And by the way, there is another thing you have to worry about this tank that I've been getting a lot. You're getting reported saying you're cheating. I get it, it's a new tank. Not many people look up online stuff. So when they bring out a tank like this and you're doing good and you're going fast because I modified the speed and then you don't need to work on your gun and stuff and you're shooting 20 rounds at a person, damaging their ammo rank, damaging all this, and then fleeing really quick to where they can't react, I've been I've been accused of hacking or pretty much, decoding a tank or pretty much cheating in World of Tanks because they never expect a tank to do that. And I had to sit back at the main menu because of the fact I've been kicked. This happened 3 times now. It happened 3 times. I was reported being a bot. I was reported being a hacker. I was reported being like kicked out of the game until the game was over, until they had to test all as well. It was getting so aggravating. It's like I want to enjoy this tank, but everybody kept reporting it every time when you did good in it. And it's like, I get it that light tank players maybe are not good at playing games like this anymore, but I'm an old veteran that knows how to play a light tank that flanks. I know how to dodge, I know how to wait for my opportunity, and I know when to irritate people. That's what a light tank does. It waits for opportunities, not charges up and dies. But apparently, not many people do that anymore, and now I'm considered like people that are hacking and blocking and trying to get Wargaming to take it down, but I always fly with other colors. Even Wargaming gave me some silver and some days of premium saying the apologies for the inconvenience all the time, and it's like, Jesus, it's like this is getting nuts. It's like you guys designed this tank like this. Why am I being punished because you guys can't freaking tell the audience or tell anyone that this? Well, they do tell them, but it's just like they don't either. I don't know. They don't watch. They don't do anything. It's like heaven forbid if you're a good player in a light tank, Jesus Christ, get ported or bombed. Or it's like, good God. But I find it amusing because that's how fun this orc tank is to me. I love it so much. Now, the only problem a lot of people are going to say about the light tank is like, it does too less damage. And I agree. This tank does not do a lot of damage. It's not designed to kill unless you're going to ram into a light tank and you just got lucky ramming the full might of your STB right into a tank at full force. Yeah, you can kill a light tank, but it's not really designed for killing. It's designed to be an annoyance. So don't expect to kill a lot of things. If you do kill a lot of things, either your team's not doing good or you stole kills. Like, that's the only way because single-handedly you can kill a tank by yourself, but when they're in packs, it's like, yeah, you're gotta sit and wait, or try to get them off guard and then shoot them a little bit. That's the role of a light tank. That's what this is. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be for everyone. This is going to be a only a light tank player's wet dream kind of way. This is not meant for heavy assault. This is not a light tank that's meant to go in and pound anything to death. This is not a derp cannon that goes up and derps anyone and then drives off. No, this is a run of a mill hit, stab, 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 run away, even though the target's still living, but you're going to mortally wound him because you have a good chance of damaging modules with 20 clips, and if you pen all those shots, you could probably take out a crew, you could probably take out an engine piece, you could probably take out their commander. It's not hard to do that in this tank. So, yeah. So I'm showing like 2 battles right now, but that's all I want to say for my personal thing because it's not a bad tank. I'll let the game roll out, and then I'll see you guys back. Final verdict on the Toothbreaker. And I'm going to do a two thing. I'm going to also rate the commander, which I'm just going to say right now. The Orc Commander, do not buy because it's not worth it. It's no voices, no nothing. It's just a run of the mill. All those commanders speak perfect English. They don't bother any of them to be speaking. As a matter of fact, don't buy any of the 2D commanders. As much as it's cool to have a 2D commander just to see the tank in the end screen, you might as well just buy a standard typical commander that's a 2D because honestly, there's no point. There's no point in having 2D commanders because they don't have the voices, they don't have all this, so there's no point in having them. So 0 out of 10 for me for them. As much as I really don't want to give the art devs any problem, it looks awesome for the art, but without any voices and without showing at the end of the game, like maybe like a little, you know what they should do, like for anyone who has 2D commanders, have a little picture icon like in front of the tank, like maybe like put like a classical painting picture in front of the tank and then show the icon picture right there so it looks so we can see what commanders in the tank to appreciate the 2D commanders maybe, you know, a little bit. Instead of just worrying about these 3D commanders that basically will show every time in the main front freaking screen. My point is just do not buy any of them. Just don't. I kind of wish I had my money back for that, but you know, at least I try to do it for you guys, or at least try to answer some questions that don't look at the website and it's fair because it's a scrambled mess sometimes. So, but before that, I'm going to say, well, Fury, what about the tank? Well, I have a lot of fun with this tank. Lots of fun. And I'm not a light tank player. My friends can tell you, I am not a light tank player. I hate playing light tanks because of the way you have to wait for the game, wait for the support of people. But after playing a couple of games in this in multiplayer and actually doing decently okay, as long as you just play it right, it's not bad. I mean, yes, granted, you could snipe with it, which not good because I could find another light tank that I like French. Like, there's other derp cannons that could do better, like, you know, like the tank or the turtle are decently perfect for that. But for just an annoyance and getting pens, accomplishes done, like if you need a lot of pins to complete a contract or do tracks, I could probably say the best tank to use that in is on the Toothbreaker. It's like I could say that's blue in the face. I've attracted so many people and got them pissed off sitting still while people wailed on them. So, so the final verdict for it, I would say if you get it now, I would say definitely I would say an 8 out of 10. It's beautifully perfect if you get it now. But if you were, you're not saying smart, but I'm saying like if you want to wait for the final one, which is 15,000, which I gotta go back a button real quick because it's 15,000 for the final discount on the Toothbreaker. It's not far off from the Space Marines, and the Sisters of Battle's not far off either, and we still got a couple of weeks left. So if you want to wait till then, I can say a perfect 9 out of 10 if you get the last one, get the last cheap one. Hey, my role is to always save as much gold as you can, so that way you can get more tanks to play and have fun in this game. That's my role, and also saving your guys' money. That's my motto. But to be honest with you, I would say for any light tank player, I'm rating this. If you're a heavy tank player or a medium player, you're going to hate it. And the reason why I don't give it a perfect 10 out of 10 for fun and speed and stuff and say like 9, it's fun, but there's also one other problem. If you're on Himmelsdorf, like it's close quarters match, you're going to get screwed. because this tank needs to be on the fields. It needs to live out in the open fields. And thankfully, there's a lot of maps that do that. But once you get Himmelsdorf and stuff like that, I reduced down to the rating of instead of a 9.5. And then the other part that makes it a 9 instead of a 9.5 is the damage. A lot of people are going to be turned off about that damage. A lot of people are not going to like just 80 damage per game and then doing crap damage and getting a little bit of negatives. And that's fair. So that's why I gave it a 9 out of 10. I took 2 points off of that. But everything else seems fine. So, thank you all so much for watching, and yeah, I know. I have the other one too. I can't hold that back off no more. I'll see you in the next video, and we're going to talk about the Lehman Russ. No more waiting around.